All right, peace and blessings, and welcome to another episode of the Author Spotlight Self-Publishing 30 Days podcast. I am your host, Rob YB Youngblood, President of Sales for Self-Publishing 30 Days and your LinkedIn locksmith. And listen, I got an extreme pleasure. I know you hear me say that all the time. I love interviewing people, but this guy right here, Jarrett Lockhart, oh my gosh, man, he's a brother that I've known for quite some time. We go way back to the Bronx, Mount St. Michael Academy. This guy and I went to high school together, man. And he's made some transitions. He's doing some great things. He's a basketball coach. He's an author. He's a father, man, and he's a man's man. And so I want to introduce you to Jarrett Lockhart, Coach Jarrett Lockhart. How you doing, Coach?
I'm well, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for the invite. Thank you so much for the introduction. It's great to see you, great to be with you, man, and I appreciate you having me on, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. As I was saying to you before we jumped on, man, I love, being able to put people that I know in a position to promote the things that they're doing. And so, you did a collab book project, man. Tell us what your book is about. Give us the title and what prompted you to put your book together.
Right. Well, the name of our book, that I co-authored with my college teammate, my former college teammate, and one of my great friends, Jeremy Holmes, is called Cheers to Fears. We wrote it about 2 years ago. It's been out for a little while, but we kind of came up with the idea, just being former athletes, former basketball players, obviously, and being in a situation where when we stopped playing, just trying to figure out what the next move would be, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what the title was based on. So, when you're playing basketball, you get cheered for, you got, a whole cheering section, family, friends, fans, things of that nature. But as the career starts to kind of wind down, mm-hmm. Sometimes you start to develop that anxiety, like, what am I going to do next? If I'm not going professional, if I'm not going to be a pro, the NBA, NFL, whatever the case may be, mm-hmm. what are my options? What am I going to do next? And that's where the fears kind of set in sometimes, and trying to figure it out. So we, it's based on, a lot of background history, how we met. My co-author's from Ohio, from Cleveland. I'm from the Bronx. So how we came together at the University of Pittsburgh, and how we kind of used basketball to take our careers and, obviously our relationship to the next level. So it's also my business partner, somebody I respect and care very deeply for, graduated. We're the only two guys that played at Pitt during that time on the Pitt basketball team that graduated. So we walked together. So we have we got a strong bond, and, that's my man. So when he came to me with the idea of putting together a book project, I was on board. We went through the whole process of getting a publisher and writing the stuff and editing and all that kind of thing. So it's for the student athlete. That's kind of where we, geared it towards. It's an easy read, quick read. It's not, 100 and something pages, something like that. It's quick. But after every chapter are kind of, questions that we wanted that student athlete to kind of ask themselves. Where is this going? How am I going to develop into a productive member of society at the end of the day? Just questions like that can get you going, get you thinking. Yeah. Because everyone is not going to the NBA. Right. Everyone is not going to the NFL. So it was those things and my experience and also my co-author's experience that led us obviously to write it. But having had those experiences with, having to try it at the professional level and not make, or me going overseas and, dealing with the business side of it, and coming back home and trying to figure out who I'm going to play for next or what I'm going to do next. So it just, when you're an athlete in the struggle, it's a lot that goes along with it. So that experience, obviously that background experience helped us write the book. Yeah. But it's been a couple years now, like I said, but we've gotten extraordinary, tremendous feedback from it. Yeah. From young people to old people, from athletes to doctors and people of that nature. So, but it's been a great experience. It was a great experience writing it, obviously, but it's been a great experience, kind of, speaking about it, giving our knowledge about it, moving forward, kind of to that next and that young generation that's coming up. So these are things that they need to understand before they even lace up their sneakers.
Right.
So these are things that are gonna happen eventually.
Yeah, that's
Somebody
good.
said it, I forget who said it, but somebody, you're gonna be older way longer than you're gonna be younger.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Those are things you got to think about. But yeah, but I mean, just in terms of the book, man, it's been great for us. And you know, like I said, cheers to fears. And then it's to co-author it with somebody that, you know, I respect and
Right.
I played with, and you know, that's a great friend of mine. It's been tremendous. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, man. So coming from where we came from, you know, coming from the Bronx, did you ever have a desire to become an author? Like, was that something that you had on your bucket list, on, you know, your list of things that you wanted to accomplish? You know, did you see yourself becoming an author? Let's talk about that before you even, you know, collaborated with your co-author. You know what I'm saying? Was that a desire or goal that you had prior to putting your book together?
I don't know about a book, Rob, but I always kind of like, ever since I was young, I was kind of like into poetry and writing and things of that nature. But like as I went, I think through my basketball career and just like some of the things that I've seen, I've been through, some of the people I've met, something like that, and just jotting things down along the way. You know, it was always an idea. It didn't come obviously to pass until the idea was presented to me.
Right.
But I've always kind of like, you know, wrote stuff down and kept notes and things of that. Because I said, you know, as some of the things I've gone through and went through because of basketball, because of sport, like the average person probably, you know, wouldn't even imagine or hasn't, you know, hasn't gone through. So I was like, oh, it's kind of special that I'm doing these things. So I used to write some things down, but never,
Nice.
I don't know about never, you know, or ever necessarily saying, okay, I want to sit down and, you know, write a book, but just, you know, jotting some stories down and, you know, things that, like I said, I've been through and gone through and experienced. But, you know, I'm just glad it was presented to me though, because it worked out. You know,
Yeah,
worked
for
out.
sure. For sure. So, you know, most people, when they look at becoming an author, they look at it like climbing a mountain, right? They think it is like Mount Everest, Mount Kilimanjaro, like something massive. Now that
Right.
you've accomplished this, what could you say about the process? Like, you know, what was the process like for you putting this book idea together? What would you say is like the process, but what was the challenge that you had to overcome in putting this book together?
I think the time frame, you know, I think I thought like it was gonna happen overnight. I thought I was gonna just like write, you know, 10 chapters and put it together. We were gonna be able to like, you know, publish it like next week. So it was one of those things that, like you said, was a process.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, and it took us about, you know, a year, you know, just to kind of you know, find the right publisher, obviously, to put it out there and put things together and fit things together the way we wanted to. Chapters, like I said, those questions. We got quotes in the back of the book from different coaches. You know, I wanted to wait on some coaches and they took time, you know, to send stuff back. So it was, you know, it was definitely a process. But I think the most challenging part was just the time frame of the whole project. Because I thought, I was just gonna write and come out, you know, in a month or two, but took us about a year to actually get everything done. So that was probably, I could say that was probably the greatest challenge.
Yeah.
Because you never know, it's your first book. So now, you know, as I look and say, you know, if and when I want to write something else, okay, it might take a year or more to get those things done. So just getting that experience, but the timing for sure, definitely.
Yeah. So you mentioned how you got, you know, rave reviews on the book, you know, people were showing love. What type of impact did you see after the book is done? Like, you know, what, in terms of other people, like, you know, what was that transformation that other people were able to go through as a result of you and your co-author putting the book together?
Man, and it's crazy because I save a lot of the emails and the text messages and the voicemails I've gotten. But just from people that have gone through the same exact thing, you know, obviously maybe at different levels, but you know, I've gotten text messages from people that were, you know, struggling to find out what they were going to do next in their career, basketball wise. But I've gotten, you know, text messages and calls from people just in everyday life that sometimes when you pick a major in college and, you know, that doesn't work out, it's like, okay, you know, I don't know if I want to do that, but I want to do something else.
Yeah.
So, you know, but the title of it, Cheers to Fears, is, you know, I think, which is the best part about the book, because you're always looking for something to do when, you know, you're not getting those cheers anymore, or people might not, that you might think are believing in you, or, you know, and they're really not, you know, because you don't play ball no more, or you're not, you know, you're not in medical school anymore, you know, you're trying to find a different route, you know. So, but, you know, once again, I think, you know, people have come back with great feedback in terms of just, you know, putting that space together. Because like I said, it's more for the student athlete. That's where we geared it towards, the student athlete. But it can be, you know, related to everyday life, like I said. And you know, like I said, young people, old people that have, you know, just read it. Like I said, quick read, easy read, but, you know, something that really is relevant, you know, in people's lives and things that they go through. So, you know, I could just say just that part of it, because, you know, and that touches the heart, because, you know, you get people that don't even play sports come back and say, man, I read your book and it really touched me. You know, it had an effect on me and something that I went through, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But I think those things really, you know, those things really affect you, and it makes you, well, you know, it made me and also my co-author just, you know, with that year that it took, it was like, okay, that was all worth it, because, you know, the feedback that we're getting, people are happy, but let alone like you're affecting people's lives because of some of the things they went through, and they can read about it and they find themselves through your story, which is amazing. So,
Yeah, that's good. That's good. No, I like that, because you know, most people, they write a book because obviously they think I'm gonna make a lot of cash, but in actuality, you know, and it's possible to make money selling books, but you know, it's what's the impact? You know, ever since I joined Self-Publishing 30 Days, first of all, I would have never imagined me being in publishing. But what I do now is I talk to people, especially men, you know, because I grew up in a single parent home. My dad was actually murdered when I was 2. And so I tell men, I'm like, listen, we're not going to live forever. Like one of the best ways to leave exactly 2 of the best ways to leave a legacy is life insurance and writing a book, right? Because when you write the book, even when you're gone, people can pick that book up, you know, years down the line. So kudos to you on having that vision to at least put something together that will outlive you, because you're right. That speaks to all people, you know. Cheers to Fears. I love the title, and I was happy to be able to support that. Let's talk a little bit about next steps. Like, what's next for you, man? Obviously, you're doing your coaching. You know, you're coaching on a collegiate level now. Like, what do you see your future being like? What is it that you're looking to accomplish now that you've completed your first book?
Well, I think, like I said, I mean, just staying busy, obviously, with coaching, and you know, getting my daughter's getting ready to go to college, so getting her squared away for next year. You know, obviously, that family piece is very important. So, but I definitely want to try to write something else. So I've been, you know, dibbling and dabbling, and, you know, once again, writing and jotting things down. So, but just, you know, a continuation to this one, but just to take a kind of a steer towards like more in depth of my story. But so definitely that. But you know, more of the coaching, and it's crazy that you said. I read a quote today that said we don't coach for the money, you know, we coach to affect lives.
That's right.
So
That's right.
And that's the same thing with the book. We didn't write the book necessarily to make money. It wasn't about, it was to put a message out. It was to put a story out and have people, you know, learn from it, you know, and obviously have people kind of, you know, get something from it that they could take and use. So, I mean, you know, I think all of that stuff, teaching, coaching, writing, all that stuff, I mean, it's been a part of me, man, probably my whole life. I just didn't know it, or it didn't come out, you know, until I finished playing. So, I mean, but it's a beautiful thing. Like I said, it's not about the money. It's definitely not about the money.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, that's good, because that's a good segue to my my curveball question, right? So, you know, imagine you're ready to write that next book, and you got anywhere in the world that you can go to write the book, and Self-Publishing 30 Days was paying for it. Where would you go?
Oh man, you know, that's an easy one. So I many people don't know this, but I was born in Switzerland. So I would go back to Switzerland, to Fribourg, Switzerland, right? And just in the mountains somewhere, and just write it 6 months and just chill out, write it in Switzerland.
I love it. I love it.
For sure.
Now check this out. Out of all of the people that I've done a lot of interviews over the last few months, nobody says Switzerland. So you're the first one. Yesterday I had somebody say the Maldives.
I'm on right there. I'm on right there in the first one.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. You know, I had somebody say the Maldives earlier today. Somebody was like Hawaii. I even had a brother say, "Hey, just drop me off in Africa, man." I'm like, yo, you know, Africa's a continent, right? You say, "Yeah, just drop me anywhere in Africa, I'll be good." So I think that's dope, man. Well, listen, as we land the plane, Jarrett, please tell us again, title of the book, and how can people connect with you to get their copy and support your cause.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The title of the book is called Cheers to Fears. You can get it on Amazon. We also have, all of our social media handles, Cheers to Fears, at Cheers to Fears on Twitter, at Cheers to Fears on Instagram, also Facebook, Cheers to Fears book on Facebook. So anywhere on social media will have a link to Amazon, obviously, and you guys can just go from there. But definitely would appreciate the support. It's a great book. It's a beautiful thing, like I said, and it's geared towards anybody that understands kind of that struggle and moving forward in life, moving forward in sports, so on and so forth. So definitely appreciate you having me, Rob, for sure, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, Mount Brothers got to stick together, bro. We went to the greatest high school, in the world, bro. Can you believe it's been, I'm not going to speak how long it's been since we've been out of high school, but let's just say we got a couple of gray hairs to prove that we've been out of high school for a minute, man. But listen, godly proud of you, man. Keep setting the pace. And listen, for those of you who are watching this episode, listening to this episode, definitely support Coach Jarrett Lockhart, man. He's a good dude, and he's making some major moves. So listen, as you go through your be encouraged, be blessed, but most of all, continue to operate in faith. And what that means is that you walk in your gift, because your gift will make room for you. And we'll see you on the next episode of Author Spotlight. Peace.
God bless.